Spirit Radio dance style. I'm doing a little bit of a different kind of show. First off, starting off with a little bit of music. That's Blue Oyster Cult, Don't Fear the Reaper. Kind of sort of ties into to my show today, and this show very well could upset a few people. My intention is not to do that, but that seems to sometimes happen when you get into some of these muddier waters, if you will. The show is called Eye for an Eye. I have a little question mark at the end, right? So it's sort of a question. And really what sparked this whole thing is it's a major news story. Nude story? Sure. There's a news story, too, though, and that's what I'm talking about. That's happening here in Southern California, and it has to do with this individual. I almost called him a gentleman. Can't really do that in this case. But he went into a salon. He was very, very angry at his ex-wife, and there might even have been some child support action going on. I'm not trying to justify this by any means, so please kind of hear me out if you're going to instantly jump to the defensive, because I can already hear some of you screaming at me. And this isn't even published yet, and I can hear you screaming at me, so this is going to be interesting, to say the least. But this individual went into a hair salon. He was angry at his ex, angry for whatever. They're going through divorce hearings and the whole 9 yards. And he went in with a gun, shot her, shot a bunch of other people, killed a bunch of people, and then left and pretty much got caught and didn't kill himself like so many of these typical things go. So there's a number of issues going on with this. First off, the man's done a horrible crime, killed a bunch of people, and will pay the price. He's basically pleaded guilty and is going to save the taxpayers millions of dollars, frankly, is what's going to happen. Again, not justifying, just trying to paint the picture to the best of my ability. Where my concern is, and this is eye for an eye, question mark, this is where my concern lies. And again, everyone's going to fall on whatever side of this they're going to fall. I'm going to make the best case I can for why I'm concerned with the way society's going. But you know, it is what it is, and everybody, you're free to choose your own choices and live your own lives. But I'm going to try to make a case for why I think the direction we're going, or why it's dangerous, I think, to go in this direction. So first, there's this whole eye for an eye concept, and I heard on the news this lady just basically saying, I hope he gets what he's done to others in the general population. And, you know, life will play itself out, and life will get even with him, however it gets even with him. But it made me think of that whole eye for an eye concept, and how many people probably wish they could be the one that walk up and shot him, or walk up and do horrible harm to him, and hurt him, and get even with him, right? I mean, that's very human nature kind of thing, is let's get even with this individual. Don't get mad, get even, right? I mean, that's a great thing. And Mom, if you're listening, don't get mad, but this is true. You taught me this, and it's not a bad thing. So she got mad at me once for a show I did. And rightly so, you know, I'm just saying. But she said, you know, she probably doesn't remember saying this to me, but I've remembered it forever. She says, you know, don't hurt people with your fists, because those kinds of wounds can heal. Hurt them with your words, because that can scar forever. And she's right. Words are very painful. But needless to say, there's a lot of people, I think, that, you know, really wish evil on this man, because he's an evil man himself. And I don't disagree with evil and all that stuff. I do kind of fall into the whole let's not judge others kind of thing. Let God do it / our higher selves. I mean, I have a slightly different view on how the whole afterworld judgment kind of thing plays out. But to keep it in the general, kind of how a lot of people believe, you know, like God or higher self or spirit or universe, like whoever's going to judge is going to. Like at some point, this man's going to have to face his reality, what he did. And odds are I'm going to do a show on this at some point as to what my beliefs are in regards to that. And I've certainly done some research, so it's not like I've just, you know, woke up one day from a dream and said, hey, that's what happens. But then again, like I always say, I don't want anyone to ever just believe me outright. Like, that's not how this works. I'm going to throw stuff out there. You can disagree, you can agree, you can say, I'm not sure, I'm kind of in the middle. All that's groovy. I want you to go and research it. I want you to see how it feels with you. I want you to kind of walk away and think about it, maybe talk about it with people you know. That's really the whole purpose of what I'm here to do. I am not here to put thoughts into your head and insist what I'm here to say is correct. No, never. Never ever going to do that. That's not how I roll. In fact, there's some group stuff that I'm actually looking at getting involved with, and even in those cases, I don't let people put me on pedestals. I've been in the situation. I've been a teacher, if you will, to people, and I don't let them put me on a pedestal. I am no different than you. You are no different than me. I've maybe been practicing some of this stuff a hair longer, so it might seem like it's kind of smooth, and I got some stuff together, and I pull some interesting, weird stuff out of my you-know-what, but ultimately, I'm no different than anyone else. I've just been paying attention to this stuff I talk about. And I'm trying to come up with ways to help people find their path, to find their way to this really cool set of truths that I've come across, that I live, that I see and experience. It's not like I believe stuff that isn't proving to me. Like, I see it. Like, it happens to me every day. It's really cool. And you can only prove it to yourself, as I've said numerous times. There's no way for me to prove this to you. So, again, I throw this stuff out there and hope for the best. So anyway, Murder at the Salon, everybody wants to kill this guy. A lot of things come to mind. Like, what if we're wrong? First off, like, that's always the first thing that pops into my head. Like, what if that was me, and what if I'm accused of something? Now, in this case, this guy's totally pleaded to it, so this doesn't apply to him per se. But what if something happened, and I am accused of something, and I didn't do it? Like, what if I just happened to look just like the guy, or whatever the case is? It's pinned on me, right? I don't know. I don't plan on ever killing anyone. I mean, knock on wood. Yeah, there you go. I'm knocking. Hopefully that never happens, right? But what if it did, hypothetically? I just throw that out there, and I'm like, man, that would be horrible. The whole concept of being stoned, I don't know. I saw a movie at one point. I don't know if it was like The Passion of the Christ or something strange where they showed people getting stoned, and it was like so well done because it was just brutal. It is brutal. Like, that concept just freaks me out, how horribly animalistic people can be. And I guess the question that always pops into my head, and Jeff, I can hear you right now, man, and I'm sorry. him and I are gonna talk about this, I'm sure. But the question that always pops into my head is, if I am killing a killer, if I'm the guy that pulls the trigger, if I'm the guy that injects the IV, if I'm the guy that decides you are going to die, you're the killer, I'm deciding you are going to die. That's my decision. I am taking your life from you. Am I any different? Seriously, I know it's justified because you're a bad, bad person, but I'm turning around and doing the same thing. Everyone's actions, generally speaking, and I would probably go so far as to say always, but that's kind of a dangerous comment to make. But everyone's actions are generally justified in their own minds at the time of doing it. I don't know if you've ever been crazy before. I've certainly had someone push me so far beyond my emotional limits that I was like screaming. I was shaking. I got away from them. It's not like I got violent with the person that I loved that was driving me absolutely crazy. But I literally was shaking. I was shaking. I didn't know what to do with myself. I was so crazy. It's just out of control. And I ended up going for a very long walk. And that's how I dealt with it. And I've certainly had moments like that in my life. And those are kind of freaky times, right? So I've been in those crazy situations where emotion's so wild and you do stupid, crazy things. I am not justifying what this individual did. And I believe, in my mind, he's going to pay for this in his own way. In a lot of ways, probably, for that matter. Not even to go into karma, which people have a hard time with that concept because it doesn't seem like it's quick enough. It's like, I want to see him hurt now. And I get that. And if I was the one that was that had my loved one taken from me, would I still feel this way? Yes, I probably would. I mean, it goes back to the show I did on forgiveness. Again, it's so I can live my life. Bad things happen, and I can't change it. I'm very good friends with someone that had someone taken from them, someone very close to them taken from them in a horrible, horrible way. Being angry and wishing hatred on the person that did it does not bring that individual back. It doesn't. Even justice is never served. Like, you can never get back what you lost. So even being the one that pulled the trigger, am I any better doing that? And that's really, seriously, that's the key core question of why I think we really ought to be careful going down that path. And I want to bring up kind of other shows as well in the sense of manifestation, right? I always talk about what you think, what you say, and what you do is what you create. Now, the powers that be that have been running this planet for a very, very long time. Some say 13 millennia. Some say since the fall of Atlantis. Ooh, am I bringing up crazy stuff? Yes, I am. Since the fall of Atlantis / Lumeria, we've been having issues along these lines. There's been some very, very dark individuals, souls, spirits, beings that have been basically running this show for a very long time. These people know how it works, and they know by getting us to maintain thoughts of fear, thoughts of anger, thoughts of hatred, any of these kinds of thoughts and emotions are helping them manifest a worse reality. I talk about what you think, what you say, what you do. This is how you manifest your reality. If you're thinking, saying, and doing things that are negative, hateful, spiteful, angry, I think I said that already, not in love, basically, or not talking about what you wish to manifest, even if it's just stuff that's like stray random thoughts that don't matter, at least in your mind, right? Doesn't matter. It's still taking you away from time that you could be thinking about things that do matter. That's why a lot of people in spiritual circles say, don't watch the news. The very first thing you do is stop watching the news when you're trying to get onto a major spiritual path, because nothing good happens on the news. You ever hear that? Very rarely do they come out with the puppy dog story, right? You get puppy dog story, and they're like, and they look into the other camera and say, and just yesterday, 16 people were shot out in front of a grocery store, right? I mean, like, literally, they just look at a different camera, and all of a sudden, now we can talk about horrible, evil things after they just talked about the puppy adoption, right? So again, what we think, say, and do. I think I'm kind of slightly all over the place on this topic, but at the same time, I really do feel like I covered the key points that I'm concerned about. We're wanting to dish back onto somebody horrible, something equally horrible back, meaning I'm mad at what you did, so I'm going to turn around and do something just as evil as what you did to you to prove to you that what you did was wrong. That's like logically just unsound. That does not work, and I'd like to think that we as a people, and if we're ever going to get out of this mess we've created on this planet, we need to think better than we did. I think it was Einstein, and God, I hope I don't butcher this quote, or hope I get this quote right. Let's say it in the positive. Mankind has reached a level of technology, or the level of problems that we have today require a level of thinking that is beyond the level that we use to create the issues we have today. I'm kind of butchering it, but it's close to that. Essentially, we need to think better than we have to get to the point we're at now if we ever want to solve the issues we have before us today. That's really what's going on. And why does the song Don't Fear the Reaper come into play? I don't know. Really just the whole thing of death. And I really love that song. So that's why I started off with that song, because I'm thinking about it now and I'm like, yeah, probably didn't need to do that. But I did it anyway. So again, manifestation, keep that in mind when you're watching the news. That's really all they're trying to do is get you angry. And if you're getting angry, it's not working well. And I don't know. I'd like to think that we can maybe choose better. Something to think about. Get in your little circles, talk about this, say how Dan's crazy, Dan's not crazy, whatever works. This is kind of what I do here. It's Dan Radio style, right? Spirit Radio, Dan style. Dan Radio Style is the channel. Really confusing, even to myself. If you want to email me, please do so at spiritradiodanstyle@gmail.com. And, shoot me some ideas, comments, tell me you hate me, tell me you love me. I don't really care. It all works out great for me in the end. But I appreciate you joining me, and I hope to join many more shows to come. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.